I want to do all these awesome things that I see everybody on social media doing, Marty. They're all like, I can go and fly around the world and choose my hours. But then, Marty, does everybody really realize the work that it takes to become a successful, or maybe even not successful entrepreneur?
Nope.
That's true. I don't think many people realize how hard and how difficult it actually is to go from zero to something, perhaps exit, and maybe even do it again. Today on the show, John St. Pierre, he's done it, Marty. The guy's done it. Entrepreneur, successful entrepreneur. He's going to join the show in a few moments to hang out with us and have the conversation about that specific topic. Is entrepreneurship really worth it? And then in the second hour, Marty, we're going to dig into, for all of our friends that are under the age of 35, oh, that might be you, Marty.
I think that's me, if my math is correct. I'm not a mathematician.
Oh, yes, we know.
Oh.
So we're going to dig into tips and tricks you can use as a young man to stay lean and fit after 35. And John Anderson, of course, is here as well. John's just having a couple technical difficulties before he enters the lab. And of course, we have our good friend Enzo joining us from the future.
What is that? Oi, oi, wee, wee?
Yeah, oi, 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 wee, wee. Yeah, isn't that like some kind of, I don't know, some kind of, what the hell is
something over there, they say.
Is that what it is?
See it over there in the future.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. That's exactly it. So what's going on, Marty? How are you today?
Man, I feel good. I got some good sleep last night. Probably my best sleep since I've been back from Canada.
Good for you. Good for you.
Feeling good today.
That's all. Yeah, you know what? I made a point last night of getting some good sleep. Had some company over last night, so that prevented me from going to bed as early as I would have liked. But I certainly got to bed in some good time. So yes, I'm catching up on some sleep.
Were you a chatterbox?
A little bit. Yeah, we had so Lauren's marrying a good friend of hers, and they were over last night, and we were having a chat about just the wedding, right? So
yeah,
it was they were over a little later than we all thought, but hey, it was all good. And actually, I said, hey guys, it's just after 9. Oh, Uncle Keith's got to go to bed here coming up because that alarm clock's not very far around the corner here, so
pops up quickly.
Oh, I'm like, yeah, some dude made this decision to become a morning show host, and which means that we are it's just going to be one of those things. But
you know what, though? To make you feel better about it, I saw a clip of Shannon Sharp talking about the sacrifices he had to make to get on Undisputed and be on the morning show, and now he's on First Take. So no
kidding.
Yeah.
There you go.
If that makes you feel better.
Sure. Sure. It's Wednesday, rest and recovery day. Marty, went for my walk this morning. I it's funny because I'm really taking something from John around his day before noon decisions.
Oh, yeah.
So I knew today I was going for a walk, and I made a point of sticking to it because I said to myself, I'm going to be tired this morning. So yesterday, I'm like, no, I'm going for a walk today. So when I got up this morning and I was kind of getting myself rolling, I thought to myself, I'm tired. Nope, going for a walk, Marty, because I made this decision yesterday and I'm not going to make it. Exactly. Not going to make a tired decision. And for some of you that are wondering what the hell I'm talking about, so John Anderson, our friend John Anderson says, hey, listen, for tomorrow's decision, make it the day before. So John makes all of his big lifestyle fitness decisions the day before at noon. He's like, Keith, because when you get up the next day, you're going to be tired and you're not going to make the right decision for yourself. So I love that. I've really kind of put that into my mind because I know tomorrow I'm going to be tired tomorrow morning, Marty. I always am.
Yeah, it's like we always talk about routine and schedule. That's just like adding another layer to it.
That's exactly it.
Yep.
That's absolutely it. That's absolutely it. So we are. So I made a decision to go for a walk this morning, and which was awesome. We're going to welcome in John St. Pierre here in a moment. Marty, I wanted to share something funny that I read this morning with you, and it's humorous, man. And we live in a world of just fake content everywhere, right? And You don't know if it's real or not, or if it's fake or not. So I read a story this morning and it just made me laugh. And I'm just going to pull it up here. It's from our wonderful politician friend, Donald Trump. And I know we're not about politics in the show. We're all about humor. We're all about having some fun. But I'm also really all about, getting rid of the fake news or the stuff that is maybe not true. So there was a post been going around X and all the social media channels that said that Trump was quoted as saying that the bullet took his entire ear off, but it began regrowing, Marty, on the next day.
Oh my God. What's up with this guy, bro?
Listen. There's a post circulating on social media right now. This is awesome, man. There's a post circulating on social media and it's from the real Donald Trump. Allegedly. This is the key point, nation. Allegedly.
Uh-oh.
And I'm going to hack him. And I'm going to get to the point after I say this. But here's Marty. Here's what he says. It took my entire ear off. The whole ear. But I went to the doctor and the doctor said, and this is true, you can hear Trump saying this, you heal faster than anyone I've ever seen. Nobody is healthier than you. And the next day, Marty, my ear was growing back. And the doctor said, my ear, nobody regrows ears like that. And it's a remarkable thing, regrowing an ear like that, because most people can't do it. And I know that because it's not just me saying this, it's the doctor. It's everybody saying this. You're the best, Donald, at regrowing ears.
Sounds just like him.
So
the doctor.
I wanted to bring it up because it's fake. It's an alleged fake post that's been circulating everywhere, and I found it on the Snopes website. You know Snopes, Marty, where they break down what's real, what's fake. So I was reading the news this morning. This popped up, and I had a laugh because if you're listening to this right now, the entire post is fake. No, former President Trump did not.
I think he said it.
Did not regrow his ear. So if you see this circulating across the channels, you need to know that it is not real and it's a fake situation. And it was that nobody's regrowing ears, Marty. And Donald Trump is not regrowing his ears, even though there might be evidence across any of the social networks to be the case. No, that is not the case. So there's no regrowing ears happening in the Donald Trump campaign. Marty Fitt.
I guess that's good to know.
Why don't we bring in our guest, John St. Pierre, and welcome him to the lab this morning. We'll get into a conversation with Johnny, and we're going to get to We're going to get to know John. John's the author, Marty, of the $100 million journey, your guide to growing your business of your dreams without going off the cliff. And he shares proven strategies on scaling businesses. And he's passionate about helping ambitious entrepreneurs, Marty. The ambitious ones, not the lazy ones, Marty. Nah, we just take the ambitious ones. So John's passionate about helping ambitious entrepreneurs achieve dreams and create lasting value. John and his co-host, Rich Hoffman, interview accomplished entrepreneurs on the Entrepreneurs United podcast, available on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and more. So, Marty, I think we have the right person.
Check that out.
We have the right guy for the right conversation. John St. Pierre is joining us mornings here in the lab. Good morning, John St. Pierre.
Good morning.
How are you guys?
Awesome. Have you ever had such an intro with such applause? In your time, I know you played hockey, business guy. You hang out with your boys. So this applause, John, it must just be life changing for you this morning.
Yeah, not only the applause, but the thrilling conversation about ears and social media has been great.
Hey, listen, I'm sure as you start your day, you've been wondering in your own head whether any human, let alone former President Trump, can regrow his ears.
That is how I started my morning for sure. But you know what you were talking about in John Anderson's comments about the day before. I just want to comment on that real quick.
Yes.
I love that, right? 95% of what we do every day is programmed before we start the day. And that coaches, we call it the coach's plan. I learned that from somebody else, but it's the same thing John does is if you write the coach's plan the day before, the next day you're the athlete. You got to follow the coach's plan. The coach told you to go do it. You got to go do it. So I love the fact that that you guys talked about that this morning.
It's such a simple hack, But I got to be honest, I've largely overlooked it until John brought it up. And he said to me a couple days ago, because we were talking about business meetings, he goes, Keith, he goes, I always make my decisions the day before at noon because tomorrow I know I'm going to be tired and I'm going to make the wrong decision.
Yeah. Yeah. And then you go implement.
It's incredible, actually. It's absolutely incredible to me. And I followed through on it this morning because I was making a different choice when I got out of bed this morning. I was like, nope, I'm going to stick around with the right one. So,
yeah,
nope.
Absolutely.
I even when I played basketball in high school and college on my championship teams, we prepared for the team that we were supposed to play in the championship like weeks before, like before the playoffs even started. So that makes a lot of sense.
There we go. Oh, I think we have Mr. Anderson showing up in the horizontal.
Is he here?
There he is over there. What's up, Anderson?
Welcome back.
I think I'm here. I'm here.
We think you're here. We need to get you on the vertical one as well, so we can have our nation get you comfortable on the vertical side of things as well. So,
for right now, hold tight.
Yeah, awesome. So I'm just going to pull you out of the horizontal for a moment and bring you back. Okay, hang tight. So and then we got Drew. What are we talking about today, Drew? Drew's joining us in the vertical feed here, Marty. Drew, we are talking about, is entrepreneurship really worth it? Like, is it really worth it? We see all these big posts on social media, and John St. Pierre. Everybody shows the good stuff. Nobody shows the slogging underneath it all. And that's what we're going to talk about today, the sacrifices, et cetera, et cetera. And then, Drew, if you're in your 30s, the second hour, we're going to talk about losing body fat. So that'll be a conversation you want to stick around for in the second hour. But we're going to have a chat here in John St. Pierre in about 5 minutes. So talking about, is entrepreneurship worth it? But John, how you been, man? You joined me on Live and Live a couple months ago. What's shaking since then? Let's take a couple minutes to catch up with John St. Pierre. What you been up to?
Yeah, it's been great. I mean, certainly caught up with you a couple months ago. Summer's been great over here. A little bit of travel, but working with entrepreneurs and businesses is my passion, as we talked about, and that's what I've been doing the past few months. And I think it's just really interesting to see the state of entrepreneurship today. And there's a little bit of excitement in the air. There's a little bit of excitement of what's going on, where with the economy, with where's interest rates going to go here down in the U.S. specifically. With that. And there's just a little bit of a buzz going on what's coming in 25 and 26. There could be a little bit of an opportunity here to, really grow your business. And so really, excited about that upcoming opportunity. So
John Anderson joined us on the show. Good morning, Johnny, buddy. Hey, Marty, we always knew, we didn't. I think his tech guy might not be around, Marty.
Yeah, you can clearly see when it comes to technology, it's a coin toss.
Yeah, but yesterday you just navigated the tech. We had a good conversation yesterday, Anderson, and you navigated the tech yesterday like a beast.
You know what I figured out what it was? It was that whatever that application we were using in our meeting is what was blocking this today.
There you go. We're here with John.
To keep peeling back that onion to figure out what the problems were.
We're here with John Anderson, John St. Pierre, Steve Marty Fit, and Keith Bilous. We're talking entrepreneurship, talking losing body fat, second hour of the show. But right now we're talking entrepreneurship with an entrepreneur himself, a successful one, John St. Pierre. Hey, John, you said to me that just a few moments ago that it's an exciting time right now. Is it an exciting time to be an entrepreneur? Do you think with interest rates cutting, like when you sit back as one yourself and who's been, who coaches entrepreneurs, what do you think is so exciting about it right now, John?
Yeah, I mean, look back at what happened. Let's go back to 2018, 2019. Everybody's flying high, businesses were growing, things are going well, and then bang, right? COVID hits.
Yes.
And it took a lot of steam out of a lot of businesses. And there's the recovery. I know a lot of businesses that have spent the last few years recovering from, the new normal and where you need to drive your business. But then interest rates start growing. So the cost of capital increases. People aren't raising as much capital to grow their business. They got to build their own capital within their own business. They got to restructure.
Yeah.
Elon Musk walking into Twitter or X and getting rid of everybody and trying to, setting a new standard for potentially, what the cost structures need to be of companies. So there's been a lot of that movement and turmoil. But now as we look out into the future, people have this, vision here. There could be a little bit of a good run here coming up. And so companies are ramping back up a little bit to start scaling their companies again and growing. And I'm not saying there's not going to be a little bit of a recession coming in the future, but I think it's a few years out now, people are thinking. And there's a couple of years to go run and build the business that you really aspired to build in the first place.
I think it really is exciting, John. And with AI weaving its way into culture and these new tools weaving itself into culture, I think there certainly is an exciting time. And one of our recurring guests with Shake and Mike McQuinlan. What's going on, brother? Boom, boom. Marty, we got Quinlan joining us here from Peru.
Fit presenter.
That's it. Most entrepreneurs had no choice. Working a job is no longer an option. All that was left was to jump out of the airplane and figure out how the parachute works on the way down. John St. Pierre, are you getting some sense of that too? As you've been working with some folks for the last couple of years, is entrepreneurship one of those options that it's like, I don't got a choice. I'm in my 40s, I'm in my 50s, in my 60s. I'm struggling to get a job. I got to go do it myself.
Yeah, I've seen it both ways, Keith. I've seen a lot of, during the COVID period, during the point you just mentioned about AI, and some people are losing their employment of what they thought was a stable spot, and they're jumping into entrepreneurship. But then the question comes back: is it really worth it? And are they finding the right opportunities to grow something that they're passionate about, that they really have the skills to go build? And the answer is sometimes yes and sometimes no. So I think this conversation about is it worth it is a really good question, because it's not as easy as it may appear. But if you can find the right spot and do it the right way, you can build something that is something you would never dream of building. But once you build it, if you got it there and can sustain it, it could be something really special.
I was excited to have today's conversation, St. Pierre, because I know you know this, John Anderson knows this, Marty sees this as well. Everybody who shines the light on entrepreneurship across social platforms only shines the light on the good stuff.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
I think we probably can start a successful account if you ran it between the hours of 2 a.m. and 8 a.m. and it was all the crappy work happening at 2 a.m., like all the non-sleep, all the grinding it out, right? Because all everybody sees is the airplanes, the beaches, and all the gold flash after it's all said and done. So looking forward to having that chat coming up in a few moments. But before we do that, Jimmy, we are going to move over to this part of the show. It's that time of the show where, hey, John Anderson, I was telling you yesterday how the structure works. This is what happens. So now I'm going to do this. I'm going to look at this camera over here. Jimmy, you're going to pull everybody off that horizontal stream. And I am going to dig into the accountability check-in. Once I get my camera sorted out here. That's the camera I'm looking for. All right, so looking at you, Nation. Hear me very clearly. Entrepreneurship. Oh, John Anderson's going to like this one. And if Marty had the soundboard, he's going to like this one as well. But Nation, entrepreneurship, it's not for sissies. Nope. Here are 3 lessons the journey of an entrepreneur has taught me. Yeah, your Uncle Keith here, the host of the show. Entrepreneurship has actually made me question my sanity. Often. Yep, that's a true story. It's made me cherish my naps. Oh, yeah, I got one scheduled today on Rest and Recovery Wednesday. And I'm going to tell you something. All that multitasking that nobody talks about, because they're all busy showing off their gold chains and their yachts and their trips through Ibiza. Yeah. That multitasking you got to do to get there, it's no myth. Oh, shoot, no. No. Entrepreneurship, it is a wild ride. It's filled with highs. It's filled with low lows and unexpected turns. And just when you think you're going in the right direction, the turn happens. It demands willpower, discipline. It demands that gym work ethic. So if you're serious about starting your own business, go to the gym first. It's true. Go to the gym first. Save yourself a bunch of money. Save yourself a bunch of time. If you can't go to the gym for a regular period of time, day after day after day, just go get a job. Because it's the same thing. If you find yourself loving going to the gym, and I'm not talking about going to the gym, like going to lift the heavy weights, if that's what you choose, great. But go to the gym, go climb a mountain, go run a marathon, go get on a bike. But go and create an endurance discipline that you go out every single day, lift, eat properly, create that lifestyle, because that's the lifestyle you're going to need to be a successful entrepreneur. Trust me, that is a business athlete. There's our accountability check-in coming to you here today, mornings in the lab. All right. Gents, there was my advice. And I think you all agree with that because
Yes, sir.
if you, and I'm Gents, just tag on that with me. And I've said this many times, and I've had people come to me, go, I want to be an entrepreneur. I'm like, go to the gym first. Go save yourself some money. Like actually go and yes, Sir Otto, this is some absolutely serious alpha male. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. This is the morning alarm clock. If you're laying in bed right now, Sir Otto, get your ass out of bed. Yeah. Get your ass out of bed and get moving, because laying there is not going to get you anywhere. It's actually not going to get you anywhere except just laying there for the next hour. So John Anderson, John St. Pierre, C. Marty Fit. Let's dig into today's topic of the day. Not my sanity. Let's dig into today's topic around, is entrepreneurship really, really, really worth it? And when I just throw that question, John St. Pierre, is it, in your point of view, is it worth it?
Not in and of itself, it isn't. And here's my thought process on this. And I'd love to hear this from you guys as well. But everything you just said, Keith, I subscribe to, which is just because you're an entrepreneur doesn't mean it's worth it.
Yes.
I know many, many entrepreneurs that are overworked, overstressed, out of shape, losing their family life, getting divorced. I can go on and on and on and on, not even working in something they're passionate about because they were sold this dream that if they become an entrepreneur, it's going to be worth it. And I have this, yin and yang, right? You're told it's going to be independence, but then, you're working for a lunatic, right? And lunatic's you.
Yeah.
Trying to get trying to achieve this dream, right? You have this high risk, but you have this high reward side of it. So there's a counterbalancing, right? You think you're working for something passionate, but then when you start a business and something you're passionate about, maybe you lose the passion for what you were passionate about because you're not enjoying it anymore. So a lot of people fall into that trap. You get this flexibility versus being overworked. You have the control of your own destiny versus the uncertainty of entrepreneurship. So there's a lot of different things there that I think play into a factor. So just because you're an entrepreneur doesn't mean it's worth it.
It's funny, John St. Pierre, because John Anderson said something to Marty and myself on Friday, and it rattled both my and Marty's cages when he's like, why do people make choices? Remember this, John Anderson? Why do people make choices to dig into a job for 25 years, 30 years, or pick an entrepreneur career just to race towards retirement? Anderson, bring that comment up you made.
Yeah, it's the way that, the way that we're bred, the way that we're programmed to think is like we're bred to be workers, go get this job. And these jobs are never fulfilling for most people. So they're going to work that thing for 25, 35, 40 years. And all they're doing is planning a retirement to escape what they've been doing for the last 40 years. And it's such a backwards train of thought. When you're starting off, rather than plan that retirement, how about, plan doing something you want to do so you continue to earn until you don't wake up one day and the whole problem is solved. And in terms of like entrepreneurship, that's such a good question. I'll tell you, man, I was sitting there, all of what's being said is so true, but I'll tell you, I think for me, it breaks down to, and this is kind of one of the elements I think that people really need to take into consideration is that if you subscribe to the thought process that your extra work is going to come back to you rather than go to somebody else, then you got a possible chance.
Yes.
Because, if there's so many people out there that are grinding away and they're doing a great job and they got no problem that all that extra effort or them doing better, them succeeding is basically piping right on up to somebody above them. But, my, of all the stuff that I've done, my claim to fame, so to speak, is I have never collected a paycheck as an adult. So I've been living this way my whole life. And simply put, if you can learn to be comfortable when you're in a very uncomfortable situation, then you got a shot as an entrepreneur. If you're going to crack under the pressure of being uncomfortable, forget about it because you're always uncomfortable. And that's one of the prerequisites. Does that get you out of your chair or does that put you deeper in your chair?
Very, very true.
If you're deeper in your chair, go get a job.
That's it. Mornings in the Live, myself, John Anderson, John St. Pierre, C. Marty Fit, the only morning show to get you out of bed, get your ass going. We're all about accountability, business, fitness, AI, lifestyle. So if you're tuning in right now, I see you all there. You guys hanging out with us. We're here having a conversation on, is entrepreneurship worth it? Marty, as a young man, getting yourself going through life now in your 30s, when you look at the appeal of being an entrepreneur, and you and I've talked many times, you're hearing John St. Pierre's journey and his story and some of the things John Anderson has said. Marty, what is it about the appeal? You're in your 30s, you're looking, you got your whole life ahead of you, you're thinking, okay, I'm digging in. Marty, what's that one piece of appeal do you think it is that drives you and drives a lot of men about wanting to be that entrepreneurship?
Well, we see older men, and we see those who are, teaching us, and we can pick and choose who we want to take advice from. So at 31, I know who I want to be like and who I don't want to be like. So, and just where I'm from, a lot of the older guys I don't want to be like. So I tend to not take the path that they went on. So I kind of went my own way. That's probably the biggest thing for me.
But then John St. Pierre, we have this illusion, right? Freedom, flexibility, all this financial potential, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But then John, nobody talks about the financial instability.
Yeah. Well, I want to touch on what Marty and John just talked about here, which is you have to enjoy the process.
Yeah.
Right. Marty, you wanted to become a professional athlete. I think you said you played basketball, right? But
exactly.
Everybody wants to be Tom Brady, but they don't become necessarily Tom Brady, but they enjoy the process. They enjoy the learnings. They enjoy all the development that they have along the way and what it helps them bring in life in other areas of their life. And so I look at entrepreneurship a little bit the same way, like John Anderson talked about. If you don't enjoy the process and it completely stresses you out to be put in situations that you have to navigate through and problem solve around and do that, then maybe it isn't for you. But if you can actually enjoy the process and do something you're fully passionate about, it's great. But financial instability is something that plays along with that. Are you willing to do what is necessary in the early years of building your business so you can achieve the fruits later on of your crop, right? And so that's a real important component, because a lot of people think, to your point earlier, Keith, you become an entrepreneur and all of a sudden you got the yacht. That's not the way it works. That's not the way it works. Now, one day you can get that after years of blood, sweat, and tears of building something and investing in something and reinvesting, not taking the money out of the business, but reinvesting the money in the business to have that crop ultimately grow. So you have to be willing to enjoy the process, and that includes the financial instability that goes along with it as you build what you're trying to build.
Yes. We have a poll running today, guys. We have a poll running on X, Threads, YouTube, and LinkedIn. And gentlemen, the poll is, and we're going to review it tomorrow, St. Pierre, Marty, and Anderson. But the question is, what's your biggest fear in entrepreneurship? And John St. Pierre, I'm going to ask you this question once I'm done rattling these off of what people tell you. What's your biggest fear in entrepreneurship? Number one, financial failure, burnout and stress, losing work-life harmony, or not finding customers. John, from guys and girls you talk to, what's the number one?
Financial stress.
Yeah.
If obviously all of them are concerns, but that one is the one they wake up every single day thinking about cash flow, thinking about how are they going to pay their employees this week if they make this investment. Can I grow my business? It's going to cost me over here. Oh my gosh, I got a personal guarantee on my bank loan over here. Oh, what's going to happen to my home over here? And that causes financial stress potentially in the household with your spouse or your family. So I think that is the primary driver of stress, in my opinion, financial failure.
It's interesting, John, because my son said to me a couple weeks ago, we're doing some work together. John, I know you have a couple young sons the same age, and Carter says to me, he's like, Dad, so when you start to become an entrepreneur, do you just like save a bunch of money up and put it into the bank and then just wake up on Monday and start pulling out of the account? I'm like, yeah. He's like, so what happens when you run out? John St. Pierre. I'm like, well, you got to go get some customers along the way. So, but just his mindset was like, so how do you start? Like, how do you get started, right? So, like, Marty's going, okay, I'm a 30-some-odd entrepreneur. John Anderson's, he's like, I'm going to start an entrepreneur. Do you go and say, okay, I'm going to go raise $100,000 for my friends, family, and put it into the bank and then get started? Is that how one gets started, John St. Pierre?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think part of the issue with financial failure leads to going beyond your skis, trying to grow your business beyond its capability to grow. So we talk a lot about your self-financeable growth rate, like how fast can you grow based on the cash you're generating? And a lot of times people try and grow their businesses way too much versus what they can afford to grow. And so, I think that becomes part of the problem. And then, you go raise capital because you think you need capital. So you go raise capital, you bring investors into your business, and that creates more financial pressure for you to perform. And so I think if people, grow their business incrementally based on how much they can afford to grow, and have more of a patient ambition mindset,
Yes.
to grow over time patiently, that leads to less stress on the financial side of things.
Yes. John, questions for John St. Pierre?
So here's a saying that I'm always correcting people on. I would love to hear your thoughts on this. So people that are starting out, they're grabbing information here and there. They're getting all wound up, and it's real to be excited in the beginning, as we all know. And they hear this phrase, act as if. And I try to explain to people, act as if does not mean go leverage yourself to buy a damn Lamborghini. That's not act as if. Act as if means do all the shit you can't see. Get up at 4 a.m. Do all the self-improvement. Act as if means follow the lifestyle of these people that actually bought that Lamborghini. That is acting as if. Can you expand on that a little bit? Because people are so, especially since social media, act as if means go buy everything in sight. And, at that point, you just got the boat going the wrong direction.
Yeah. Yeah. There's certainly act as if and live as if. Right. And so what you're talking about, in my opinion, is live as if you are that high performing athlete, right? Live as if you are that person and get the coaching and the support and the mentorship and everything you would need if you're an NFL athlete or an NHL hockey player, right? They're surrounded by the best in the world, training them and developing them. So live as if that. And the act as if, you're right. I mean, acting is not spending money on Lamborghini. That's actually doing as if.
There we go.
Okay, right. But I do remember when I first started, a company I started 20 years ago, that, it was me and a couple other people, and they would call and we would pretend we'd have a switchboard, and, you'd ask for John St. Pierre. I'd say, hold on a second, let me transfer you. And I wanted to feel like I was bigger than I really was, right? We were acting as if we were a bigger firm. Our proposals looked bigger than our company was. So there is something to say, hey, think bigger than you are. Try and act bigger than you are, but that doesn't mean spend bigger than you are. That doesn't mean that you shouldn't be living the way you should be living. So I really agree with you on that. It's like, you're not acting if you're actually executing beyond your skis. And so that to me is a big component.
So really so basically it's live, it's act and spend. There's 3 as ifs. That's perfect. That breaks it. Now, anybody listening that's been thrown off by watching social media with that phrase, it just got broken down into 3 pieces, which should make perfect sense. So
I love that. Yeah. Spend as if you're broke.
Yeah, there we go. That's a massive pearl. I can't tell you how many people say that, and they're completely misunderstanding what it's all about.
Well, and part of the culture of entrepreneurship culture, and Marty and I have talked about this before, is there's this allure, John St. Pierre. Go raise money, go raise money, go raise money. And all we read about in these entrepreneur magazines and tech magazines is, oh, John St. Pierre raised $10 million or raised a bunch of money. And I see you shaking your head, right? And you're like, no, and I see you shaking your head some more. It is such the wrong approach, isn't it? It's this race to raise money when I'm thinking you're saying, no, slow down, get some cash flow, get the business going, and then if you need to raise some money, it's going to help you eliminate all these challenges about being having that fear of being an entrepreneur. But John St. Pierre, dig into the myth, please, about this. Oh, I got to go raise money. John St. Pierre, do you need to go raise money as an entrepreneur?
Well, let me tell it from experience. So you mentioned the book that I wrote, The $100 Million Journey, and it's not a book about success, although there is success in it. It's a book about failure. It's a book about me trying to grow a company to 100 million and thinking the way I was going to get there is by raising some capital. And so, we raised $20 million of capital. We were around $55 million in revenues, and we're like, okay, let's go for another round of capital because we got to raise capital, right? That's what you got to do to go grow a business. Raised $20 million of capital, and 6 months later I was fired. And that was after 15 years of building a company. 15 years of all the stuff we're talking about, the blood, the sweat, the tears, the years, the financial stress, the everything. 15 years, and I lost it all because in my mind, I was growing for growth's sake. In my mind, I was trying to raise capital because that's what I was supposed to do. That's what I was glamorized in entrepreneurship. Go raise some capital. And believe me, Keith, I was telling people, I just raised $20 million. We're going here. It's awesome. And then I found myself on the pavement, broken, going, what just happened? And so, yes, 100%. An entrepreneur that wants to build the business of their dreams should build that business with the capital that they can generate through their business, spending as if, as we just talked about, they're broke, and reinvesting the capital they can generate into the growth of their business. And that takes time. It takes patience. It takes a lot of Will, to your point on going to the gym every day and that endurance test that you have to go through day in and day out. But yeah, the raising of capital myth is an absolute sucker's bet, unless you got the new AI technology that's going to be the next, $1 trillion business, and that's a different model, right? That tech startup could be a potential different opportunity.
Yes.
But for 99% of entrepreneurs, build the business of your dreams through your own capital.
Build a business through your dreams, through your own capital. The other big question I want to throw out there for you, John St. Pierre, and again, I'm going to look to Marty, and I guess in many ways, I'm going to throw the same question to John Anderson. So Marty, 30-some-odd-year-old young man looking to start his business. A lot of our listeners are in that same demographic, wanting to start their business. John St. Pierre, John Anderson, and I'm going to ask myself the same question. Have you guys built a business plan? And is it absolutely necessary to build a business plan to be an entrepreneur in 2024? John St. Pierre.
I think I want to define what business plan is just for a second, because the idea of I need a 30-page Word document, I don't believe in. The idea that you need to have a vision for your business, a one-page strategic business plan, yes, I do believe that to be the case, because part of it, and I was talking to somebody yesterday for coffee, and he spent a lot of time in the Japanese business culture. And the Japanese business culture, they plan for the next 50 to 100 years in their business.
Wow.
In the North American business culture, we plan for next quarter. We're like, what are we going to do next quarter? And if I don't do what I'm supposed to do next quarter, I might get canned, right? That's the public markets that kind of drive that. But can you think long term? Like, can you think your business 5-10 years out? Where are you taking this ship? And if you have that long-term mentality, guys, I believe that you'll be more patient in today's actions than overreacting or overhiring or overspending or over this or over that to try and get there too quickly. Have that patient ambition, know where you're trying to go ultimately in the next 5 to 10 years, and develop a plan. Okay, year one, we're going to do this, and year one's going to help us get on track to this 10-year plan. So I really believe that that's necessary, but it doesn't have to be a 30-page Word document. I think this is a one-page visual you hang on your wall that shows you year one, where you want to be in 3 years, where you want to be in 5 to 10, where you ultimately want to be as a BHAG of your business.
I like that. John Anderson, have you ever created a business plan for your businesses over the years?
I'll tell you, when I was young, like when I was right out of college, again, I graduated college with no intention. Graduated college, first off, by degree with major in theology and minor in philosophy. There wasn't a lot of jobs for me to go get, nor did I want to go get one. But I started my first business with just literally an idea, and just the next gig got up and started working on it. I was I guess my strength as an entrepreneur is I'm good at taking action. I'm really good at taking that first step. And then as I got older and did more of it, because there's plenty of failures along the way, I realized, what I really need to do is I need to take that first step and test the interest of what I'm coming up with. Because if that interest is there, then obviously that's that, because that right there is, for someone that's trying to think of an idea that maybe they're passionate about, they might be really interested, but there's not many other people that are going to pay for their interest. So test that interest is something that I learned to do. And then once I kind of got my first step, I tested the first interest, then I started to kind of be a little bit more, I guess you'd say, business plan-ish, which exactly what John explained is it was a single sheet of paper. This is what I need to accomplish. Here are the elements, here's the product, here's the demographic. And I wasn't, a lot of times I wasn't even projecting beyond that first year. I just needed to get the thing up. Because keep in mind, these things in many cases were started off my credit card, which was almost maxed when I was young. So I needed that. I needed to know there was interest. I needed to make some sales so I could bring it back in and keep turning it over, So I guess the business plan, I totally agree with John. And I think from my position, I'm always the first one to say, if you could sit there and have paralysis by analysis. Don't sit there and think.
Yes.
Start moving, because you're going to learn a lot by moving. You don't need to spend a whole lot of time planning in this world. I think plan as you're going.
I think the advice I would offer. So if Marty sat down with me and say, "Hey Keith, I'm wanting to be an entrepreneur and I want to start a business," John St. Pierre, what I'd say to Marty is, "What's the problem you're solving? And can you go find yourself a minimum viable customer?" And if you can find that minimal viable customer, you can iterate, and then go get the second customer. And then I think what you said, St. Pierre, is that you get that minimal viable customer, you also can have this idea of driving revenue in, right? So not going to chase a bunch of extra money, get that first customer in, iterate, get the second customer, iterate, get the third customer. I really despise this advice, St. Pierre, which is, oh yeah, you got to go create the 50-page business plan. Like, it's not 1920, right? Go and find that customer, go and solve a problem. Like, the problem we're solving here at the morning show is helping people get their asses out of bed and get going. It's a legitimate problem for human beings. So that's the problem we're going to solve. But that really is the crux of it, isn't it, John St. Pierre? Find a problem, find a minimal viable customer, and go to work. Is it as simple as that, St. Pierre?
Yeah. And so, yes. And before that, I would say the question I would ask Marty or anybody else is why? Why are you starting a business? Why are you becoming an entrepreneur? What is your why, right? The Simon Sinek start with why.
Yes.
And is your why of why you're starting this business connected to your personal ambition? And so one of the things I learned, guys, was during this massive failure that I had, I realized that what I was trying to create in this business wasn't really aligned with my personal goals in life. And so today I have a 30-year life plan, right? And I just turned 50. But I got a 30-year life plan. Like, to what John Anderson talked about earlier, I don't want to do anything else. I got a long horizon in front of me, and I am going to go to the gym and take care of myself because I want to be as far as I can go. But I got a 30-year life plan. And if my business doesn't align to my 30-year life plan, what I'm trying to do for myself personally, then why am I doing this?
Yes.
So start with why. And once you know why you're doing something, and you can be very clear about the why of your business, then go do the stuff that you talked about to get your business off the ground and growing and prove concept. And like I talked about earlier, don't go prove one or two customers and then go try and raise capital. Go get 100 of them and sell the product or service. Raise some of your own money, reinvest some of that money into your business versus going to buy a new car. Like, just really commit to the process, but you have to start with why.
Yes. Oh, that's great advice.
That's so good.
I love the starting with the why, and I love the 30-year life plan. Again, something we don't talk about enough. And I know as a young 50-year-old Anderson, a young 50-year-old, and St. Pierre, young 50-year-old, I think it's this kind of conversation that we can speak with our peers and our colleagues like Marty and our demographic Marty in our 20s and 30s, which is, I know you're not thinking about it, and I'm not trying to talk down about it, but man, is that ever motivating and aspirational when you can sit back and say, okay, I'm in my 30s. Here's my 30, 40, 50-year life plan, because then you're racing towards something you want to do instead of racing towards what Anderson always talks about. Why the hell are you doing it to race towards retirement?
Yeah.
And I don't think we talk about it enough, right? And I think it's a topic we should talk more about, which is this whole idea of like, what are you doing in 10 years from now? Because Anderson, we talk about it all the time too, Marty? It's going to happen anyways. Like 1 year from now is going to happen regardless if you want it to happen or not. So you might as well plan for it to happen. So
I got a quick question for John.
Yeah.
So when you say that you have your 30-year plan now at 50, do you look at that as kind of like reinventing yourself, like a consistent reinventing yourself over the years? You know, once you reach one level of success, reinvent yourself to get to the next one.
Yeah, so the way I look at it, Marty, is at the end of this year, I'm going to redo my 30-year plan, right? And that'll be 51. I keep redoing the plan.
That's cool.
But what ends up happening is we all overestimate what we can do in a year. A lot of entrepreneurs and business people, athletes, whatever, they go, in the next year, I'm going to do this, this, and this. And then they kind of miss their goals because they're overestimating their capabilities in a year.
Yes.
But if you think about it, a lot of people underestimate what they can do in 10 years. So now think about 20 years and then 30. I mean, 30 years is a long time ago. Yeah. Like, that's a long time. And we have this long horizon in life, but yet we try and rush everything. We want instant gratification. So what Keith just asked you is a fantastic thing. If you think about your 30-year life plan and how long that is, you can be more patient in trying to achieve the things you're trying to achieve, which means if you're more patient, you won't feel a need to go raise capital. You won't feel a need to get the yacht too quickly. You won't feel a need to get all these things, but you'll keep reinvesting in what you're building. And that compounding effect of learnings and financial success and everything will compound into you getting the yacht one day if you really want it. But it has to compound over time. And that's why the long-term horizon makes sense.
Yeah. We're here talking entrepreneurship. Is it worth it? Marty, we're going to throw to you and I'm going to throw to you for the fit tip coming up here in a second, Marty. And then we're going to come back and close the conversation with the contrarian point of view. John St. Pierre, John Anderson, is entrepreneurship overrated? right? So is it something we want to chase, or is it something we're happy with doing? And we're going to talk to John St. Pierre in a second about, is entrepreneurship overrated? But Marty, before we do that though, my friend, there's that sound effect where I take Pierre off, I take Anderson off, and I leave Marty on the stage.
All right, we got the fitness tip for the day. So let's talk about it. All right, fitness is a long-term game. Play it right. Let's talk about it. If you want to achieve your fitness goals, make long-term decisions today. Every time you want to skip a workout, ask yourself, how much will it set you back? Because a lot of times, one workout leads to two leads to three, then you miss a week, then you miss a month, then you fall off completely. Every time you want to eat junk food, ask yourself if the instant gratification is worth potential health issues. When you feel like giving up, remind yourself why you started. Before you stay up late, think about how it will affect your energy for tomorrow's workout. Each time you consider skipping a meal, ask yourself if it aligns with your nutrition plan. If you're tempted to binge watch TV, consider using that time for active recovery or self-improvement. Or you can watch the show while you do some cardio, while you walk on the treadmill, Stairmaster, elliptical, walk outside, etc., whatever you decide to do. Whenever you feel unmotivated, remember how great you'll feel after your workout. Nobody ever regretted a great workout. That feeling after lifting weights, doing your cardio, nobody was ever mad after that. Before you skip a meal prep session, think about how it impacts your healthy eating habits. Now you at Chick-fil-A, Burger King, McDonald's, Popeyes, all the bad places because you didn't want to meal prep. When you hesitate to push harder, ask if you're challenging yourself enough to grow. Success is built on the foundation of daily decisions. Make the right one. That's the fitness tip for today.
For the day with commentary with Marty, you want to get your meal prep in because you don't want Marty or Anderson chasing you down because you're on your way to Five Guys or Harvey's or Crumbles Cookies, because those guys are going to beat your ass if you're heading to those places. So you want to get that meal prep in today, nation, if you want to be successful. It's not only, in the gym, but also in life altogether. We're here talking Is Entrepreneurship Worth It with our guest today, John St. Pierre. The guy built a business, sold it for $100 million, and then got fired. The guy knows a little bit about entrepreneurship. He is the ultimate guest to have this discussion today. So as we wrap it up, St. Pierre, Anderson, Marty, is entrepreneurship overrated? The hype, John St. Pierre, versus the reality. Media glorification, the pressure to live up to the ideals, survival rates. Like, what's the survival rate of being an entrepreneur? I really want you to dig into the contrarian side of just go get a job. John, just go get a job, man. Just don't take the stress of carrying all that pressure. Go get a job. John St. Pierre.
Yeah, we talked about this a little bit earlier. It's not all it's cracked up to be if you're not going to enjoy the process.
Yeah.
And so, I think there's a lot of opinions right now that, going to get a college degree isn't worth the bill. It isn't worth the debt you're going to have when you walk out of it and go get a job. And I think there's a lot of viewpoints today that are going to start changing. Do you need a college degree to go get a high paying job? What about the trades, the lack of trades? I can't get a contractor to come to my house. I don't know about you guys, but there's a lot of opportunities to earn gainful employment, to have a nice lifestyle, to have a nice living, the millionaire next door mindset, right? That book I read back when I was in college, that the teacher next door is probably a millionaire versus the entrepreneur across the street who's working 100-hour weeks, stressed out, just got divorced, doesn't spend any time with her kids. And that teacher who has a nice paying job, has their summers off, spends time with their family, and invests wisely into their future. You can achieve that millionaire next door mindset with a job. You absolutely can, and avoid all of the stresses and all the potential failures and all of these things. That life exists, and a lot of people are very successful living it. So yes, you can have a very successful life without being an entrepreneur. There's no doubt about it. And I know a lot of people who had that successful life as a non-entrepreneur and said, I think I got to be an entrepreneur because I just heard John say I should be an entrepreneur. They go be an entrepreneur and they fail miserably. And then they're like, oh crap, now what do I do? Now I want to jump back over in this career because this was the stability that I enjoyed and I loved. And I was able to spend time with my family and invest wisely. So it's not all it's cracked up to be for everybody. You have to enjoy the process or you shouldn't go there.
What about this idea of intrapreneurship, where you find yourself in an organization that, maybe John Anderson's working in a big company one day, he's working alongside Marty and a couple of colleagues are like, hey, why don't you guys go start this initiative inside the organization? Maybe intrapreneurship is an option, John St. Pierre.
Yeah, I love that. Thanks for bringing that up. I mean, you have this full-fledged entrepreneur, right? Goes to start up a company on their own with their own, hands, and they go build something, right? You got franchising. You can go work for yourself but not by yourself with a proven system, and people are going to help support you and grow you. But there's also ways you can actually go work within a business and help that small business owner grow the value of their company and potentially over time become a partner in that business, have some equity value appreciation rights within that business. But you're getting paid like an employee, but maybe you have some rewards as if you're a part of the company and its success. That's an intrapreneur, where there's less risk, but you can get medium reward for doing that as well. So, I know a lot of entrepreneurs are very, very, very successful. A lot of CEOs of the companies we know are entrepreneurs that grew up within GE or grew up within these companies who become the CEOs of them, making millions of dollars a year. So, yeah, entrepreneurship is an absolute avenue for people who really don't want the stress of entrepreneurship by themselves.
Anderson, Marty, questions for John?
So what are your thoughts on the social media completely distorting entrepreneurship? Because, before there was everybody and their brother that was making this perfect scene about, what they have, and then, basically call themselves entrepreneurs. Before that was such available viewership, especially on social media, it seemed like the concept, the idea was looked at with a little bit more. People looked at it a little bit more realistically, versus all of a sudden now you could start flipping, on social media and you find some misrepresentation, but so many people are drawn to it because they don't really, they see the people acting as if the wrong way, or spending as if, or pretending to spend. So what is when was that, talk about that timeline of when it got distorted with social media?
Yeah, I don't think that's an entrepreneurship question. I go on social media and I see people that are in better shape than me, better looking than me, have more money than me, have a better business than me, right? If you want to find that, you can find that anywhere. And I think that's a problem, just a systematic problem with the scrolling of social media. And I don't know about you guys, but personally, I've gotten bored. I at a certain point, I started scrolling a little bit. I'm like, what am I doing? This is boring. I wasn't enjoying it as much. I'd rather listen to podcasts or conversations like this, where I'm learning and I'm sharpening my saw. And like, I'll go onto YouTube and I'll listen to informational videos where I'm learning about blockchain, or I'm learning about AI, and I'm learning about entrepreneurship and leadership. And so I think if you seek it, if you enjoy the process of seeking out what's better in life than what you have, you're going down a lonely path, regardless whether that's entrepreneurship, money, how you're in shape, how you look, your relationships, the friends that you have. You can find everybody to have more than you. And I think that social media has done a really good job of distorting that and really screwing with people's psyches. And I think we as a society need to push back a little bit and go, you know what? I'm not going to spend my time just mindlessly scrolling through here. I'm going to go sharpen my saw over here.
Yeah, it's so true. I think as I go through, my journey of being an entrepreneur and starting the lab again here, I cannot emphasize enough to anybody who's considering this path. You have to enjoy the process. Because if you don't, I really can't encourage you enough to go get a job and be happy with it. There's nothing wrong with a job. Nothing wrong with the job at all. Go get a job, pay the bills, go get a gig economy job, go get a franchise, but there's nothing wrong with any of that. You absolutely have to enjoy the process, because the process will kill you. I've been there, nation, call me, right? 18, 20-hour days, not spending time with your kids, missing family events. I'm being real with you right now. You cry. I had tears last week. True story. I had tears because I was having a tough day, right? And those days will happen, right? So you have to. There are days it's payroll. You're like, oh, I got to make payroll, right? It is a crappy process, nation. It's a horrible process, starting something from nothing and turning it into something. But when you do, John St. Pierre, is it ever fulfilling, isn't it, John?
Yeah, no doubt. You have to enjoy the process and be willing to go through the ups and downs and peaks and valleys. And John Anderson said something earlier a lot. in life, the transition curve can be ups and downs that are so volatile that you can't handle it. But once you get through a few of them, you realize that the lows aren't so low and the highs aren't so high, and you start going a little bit more like this, and you start enjoying the process more. You start saying no to more things. You start controlling your life. All that's really, really important. But I want to end kind of with this one thought, Keith, which is, even if you're not an entrepreneur, meaning you own your own business.
Yes.
Your family still has a balance sheet. Your family still has a profit and loss statement. And you made a really good point there, which is you could still have a job and have a career, but also buy some real estate. You could also work in the gig economy. You could also do other things beyond your career to build up your balance sheet of your company and build wealth within your family portfolio. Buying your own home, as an example, is an investment you make versus renting.
Mm-hmm.
How you buy your vehicles, or do you lease, or how do you handle that? So your family still is a business in a way. So if you're not going to be an entrepreneur from the perspective of I own my own business, and you have a career that's paying you a W-2 salary or like that, you still got to look at your whole family as a business and be the CEO of your life.
Well said, John St. Pierre.
Yes.
John, we're wrapping up our chat, my friend. How can Business Athlete Nation, LinkedIn Nation, YouTube Nation, how can the world find you? How can they get some of those wonderful advice you're throwing out here this morning? You've been dropping nugget after nugget after nugget. Entrepreneurship has its pros, its cons. It's essential to weigh all of that before deciding. Of course, there's a financial freedom, but you really wrapped it up with, take care of your family, and your family is also your business. But John St. Pierre, how would you like to wrap up our conversation today around, is entrepreneur really worth it? Final word to you, my friend.
Yeah, well, certainly we've encouraged people to go get the book, The $100 Million Journey. Came out this year, and I talk about failure and success in there, how to find your why, how to find your purpose in life, how to really build the business of your dreams without going off the cliff like I did. So that would be one way, or connect with me at John St. Pierre 100. Would love to learn more about your business. And I do provide free consultations to entrepreneurs as well along the journey, because my mission is to impact entrepreneurs and help them build that business of their dreams.
Awesome. Marty?
Totally awesome.
Anderson?
Totally
Hey,
awesome.
As the youngest guy on here, I was just learning a lot of game today, but I definitely appreciate you. Learned a lot. You dropped some gems. And I did have another question. I know we don't have that much time.
Go, Marty.
Okay, real quick. I wanted to know your view on when people say, like, you're an entrepreneur going into a certain field, they say that the market is saturated. How do you feel about that, and how do you think entrepreneurs can overcome that?
Yeah, so there's a book called Blue Ocean Strategy. And, there's a lot of industries that are saturated, but all of a sudden, we call them red oceans, right? When they're saturated, there's a lot of people in the same space doing the same thing. And every once in a while, you see this new company come into that space and completely disrupt it. And they create kind of a new business, a new ocean for themselves. And so I've entered into a lot of businesses in a lot of areas that were saturated, but what's your angle? What's your purpose of being there? What's your why of being there? And if you're going to go into that market, how are you going to differentiate yourself to not be like everybody else? And that's the biggest key that I find, is create your own blue ocean. Don't be a red ocean like everybody else. You can go into that space if you can kind of create your own new space in it.
Great advice. That's absolutely great advice. And Marty, I love having you on the show here, because you're very much part of our audience. So there's a lot of 28, 30-year-olds looking to start, wanting to be an entrepreneur and don't know what the risks are, the challenges are, or they think they know what they are. They see the glamorization of it. So having this conversation, man, I think it's an exceptional way to educate, and seeing you listening and taking it all in is, I think what this show is all about here. So John St. Pierre, will you come back and join us again, my friend?
Yeah, I loved it. Great conversation. Nice to spend time with you guys.
Awesome. All right, we're going to walk John out of the lab. We've got a comment from Charles Winmar. He's not rich in money, but rich in life, but need to take next full-time dad for 10 years is exactly it. But John St. Pierre, thanks for jumping in, my friend. You come back and see us again, okay?
Thank you,
guys.
John.
Awesome.
Thank you, John.
We're welcome John out of the lab there. Gents, great chat with John St. Pierre here. Is entrepreneurship worth it? And I want to throw it to you guys as John's leaving the lab here. What did you guys take out of that? Marty, what did you, so as the young, as yourself described as the young guy here in the lab, what did you take from that conversation today? As you're going to go through your day and as you continue your journey in life, what are you going to take from that, Marty?
Definitely play the long game, and endurance is super important in entrepreneurship. You're going to deal with the struggles. It's just part of it. Every successful entrepreneur deals with it. And so it was good to hear someone who's, been through every aspect of entrepreneurship say that. Because I have my difficulties. I see Keith, I see you go through stuff. We had a conversation last week about, something that hit us out of nowhere growing this show. So definitely understand. So I took a lot from this.
Yeah. What about you, Anderson? What did you take from that conversation? I know you, me, and Pierre share the same demographic, but you listen to Pierre talking. What did you take out of this, John?
Well, I mean, the stuff that we talked about, the stuff that he talked about was obviously I've been exposed to that before. But as an entrepreneur, as someone who's made this choice early in life and going to continue to live this life, you can never hear that stuff too much coming out of someone's mouth. You can tell yourself over and over and over and over. But then you get a guy like John coming in, and he's a big fish, $100 million bucks. That's a lot of dough.
Yes.
I mean, and so you hear someone like him come in and say that stuff. It just, the reinforcement of what you live by, it just really reinforces it. And it's so helpful to hear. So,
I think Marty, we can give John St. Pierre this.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
For sure.
Absolutely. Oh yeah.
I was thinking, Keith, what you got to do if you're going to start doling it out to a different level, you got to get like a little bitty goat sound and a big goat sound.
Yep.
So you can give out like big goats and little goats, because I can't remember who else you gave that goat sound to, but it was now that you've given it to John, you've taken this thing way out of whack here.
It was someone who listened to our show for the first time in Australia, and he just gives the goat out.
Yeah.
and giving that person from Australia some love is perfect. But let's just make sure that we're not, that goat needs to have some punching power when you pull the trigger.
Everybody's a goat.
That's it.
Participation goats.
That's it. Oh Lord.
I will tell you though, I had John St. Pierre on Live in the Lab a couple of months back, and I want to have him back here for a second conversation because, he told me this story, gentlemen. He built his company to $100 million, then they fired him.
That's insane.
Like, he goes into a board meeting and he's meeting with all of his the directors and everything, and the meeting's over. I'm like, yeah, John. I'm like, yeah, we're letting you go. It's like, what?
Talking about left field, man.
Dude. Right? So, you talk. So I think we need to have St. Pierre back for the second conversation, which is what happens when you build your company to $100 million and get fired? Right? Because
I think I know someone who can relate to that.
Yeah. I might know somebody that did do $100 million, but I might have done. Oh, this was the phone call, Marty. Hello? Yes, Keith? Yes. We're taking the company in that direction, going that way. Okay. Yeah. And we want you to go in that direction. That's exactly it. Hey, Anush, thanks for jumping in this morning, man. I see you in the feeds. I see your comments. I love that you've been jumping in with some comments. You said, I'm with the set of resume holding degree, going from my job, company to company, struggle every day, but still unemployment. Anush, I know that Anderson and Marty will say the same thing I'm saying. Just grind, man. Got to keep going. You got to keep going. You keep going, and you are going to have something turn up, my friend. So I thank you for tuning in. I invite you to subscribe to the show. Click on the old subscribe. Marty, like it, comment on it, share this with your friends. We are a show that gets you going every single morning, Monday to Friday here on YouTube, 8 o'clock Eastern time. And we're going to pivot the chat. My two friends here, my two fitness friends, we're going to pivot our conversation from the business athlete performance lab, the business side's out. We're going to talk now about 3 foolproof tips, nation. 3 foolproof tips for shedding fat after 35. So I'm going to call up Marty and Anderson on the stage here, and we're going to get into the conversation. And first of all, guys, we got a poll running right now. We got a poll. We have a poll, Marty. Why do you think?
Keith.
Nope.
Okay.
I know you watched it last night. You know, we got to replay the poll episode for John Anderson. So
I'm still learning this inside stuff. You know, it's like, just so everybody knows, I'm as confused as all of you. So don't worry. These guys are just sitting here laughing. It's like their own little world. They're just sitting there laughing by each other.
So why do you think you're struggling to lose weight now that you're over 35? John Anderson, when you talk to your customers, is it lack of motivation? Is it busy lifestyle? Is it unhealthy eating habits? Or is it not enough exercise? That's the poll we have running today. What do you think is the number one is going to happen tomorrow, John, when we revisit this? What do you think it's going to be?
Well, the unhealthy eating habits parlays into a couple of those other ones. So that's like the root. That's, you know, that's the roots of the whole thing. You take that one away. The other ones, are, you know, they're often kind of they almost, I shouldn't say they don't matter, but the other ones, I guess to put it right to put it, they're all going to fall in line if you're eating right.
Yes. Marty, people come to you, less brunches, more crunches. You got your lovely female clients saying, Marty, I can't lose weight. I've hit 36. I'm 37. I'm not losing. Oh, they talk just like that, Marty. Hi, yes. I can't lose weight.
Yes, that's how they sound.
Is it lack of motivation, busy lifestyle? Is it I just can't get to the gym? Or is, like John said, is it start with the unhealthy eating habits and everything goes from there? Marty, what's your POV on this?
It definitely starts with the unhealthy eating. But I think most people blame it on lack of time.
Yeah.
They really think they don't have time to work out.
Well, you know, and brother, you just said something, because my answer was the same as yours, but when it comes down to it, no one wants to face that answer. They'll say, you know, they'll give you any reason other than that, because if they own that, they wouldn't need help.
Absolutely. So let's dig into it then, Jen. So 3 foolproof tips for shedding fat after 35. You're on the morning show here, Mornings in the Lab with Keith, Marty, and John Anderson, the only show that gets you going every single day. So after 35, gentlemen, metabolism slows down. Talk about how and why your metabolism slows down with age and the impact on hormonal changes, John Anderson, on weight and body composition. Women, menopause is around the corner. Men, decline in testosterone. You know, both genders, John, as we hit past 35, it increases difficulty in managing weight. Let's talk about this for the first few moments.
The metabolism, I mean, when it comes down to it, the metabolism is kind of like the foundation for, you know, losing body fat, having more energy, more focus. When that thing is burning, you're moving in the right direction. And so many people end up thinking, oh, well, I'm just going to do this extra exercise. And when it comes down to it, what you have to understand is, as you get older, you should be getting smarter, meaning don't just keep doing all this exercise trying to outwork that bad diet. You got to basically eat in a way that's going to speed up your metabolism. And when you learn to feed your metabolism, eat in a way that speeds it up, then the joke I make is, look, you're eating the fat right off your ass. And who doesn't love to eat, you know? So, I mean, if you got a choice, you want to go do 2 hours of some sort of cardio that's going to bore you to death, or do you want to, you know, eat a few extra times per day? I mean, I don't know many people that are going to opt for that stair climber. If they opt for that, they're lying. So the bottom line is that as we get older, we're supposed to get smarter. Well, okay, time to start understanding that you don't have to starve yourself to lose body fat. You can, there's kind of 2 schools of thought. There's the calorie deficit, and then there's to feed the metabolism. You learn to feed your metabolism grows, and basically your quality of life will improve first. Then, you know, shortly after, you're going to go, wait a minute, man, I need a new belt. And it's very sustainable. So as we get older, we want a process that is sustainable, and eating is very sustainable.
I'm going to throw the comment to Marty here in a second about the importance of lean muscle mass, because I've seen Marty with his shirt on. He's a little bit jacked, so I think he's got some lean muscle mass. But Lauren pops in with a comment, Gems, that says, you know, chasing fad diets or workouts for a quick fix doesn't work. People need to embrace longevity and move away from the aesthetic goal. So while we all have our goals, right, whether it's aesthetic, whether it's losing weight, really, I think what you know, the theme that Lauren's throwing in here is that let's really always chase the idea of longevity. And John St. Pierre came up with it as well, right? What's your 30-year plan? What's your 40-year plan? What's your 50-year life plan, right? So wherever those goals fit into that, you know, I think what we always want to be thinking about is longevity. But Marty, talk about the importance of lean muscle mass. John talked about eating, right? Yet society thinks that to have lean muscle mass, you're not supposed to eat. Think about the opposite, Johnny. I'm sorry, Marty. Talk about the opposite of the importance of lean muscle mass and how actually the leaner you are, the more you can eat. Marty.
Well, if you don't have lean muscle mass, we just talked about metabolism. That's part of the ruining your metabolism. Mm-hmm. And another thing, a lot of people are just uneducated. The more lean muscle mass you have, the less fat you carry on your body. So a lot of people don't understand that. Let me focus on building this lean muscle mass to get rid of the most people want to lose body fat. That's why they hire personal trainers. That's why they get a gym membership, and they'll get on the Stairmaster. They'll get on the elliptical. They'll get on the treadmill for 2 hours. But lean muscle mass is everything. Not only is it great for dropping body fat, it's great for injury prevention as well. Mm-hmm. Right? We always talk about the osteoporosis on here. You don't want to get hurt falling down a flight of steps. Most people, older people that break their hips, they're done. They end up dying. We talked about that on here as well, Keith. So lean muscle mass is the key to not reversing your aging, but I guess preventing the aging rapidly. I would say that.
And to extend on that a little bit, what he said is so correct, but to make it really, really digestible for people that are not quite following what he's saying, lean muscle mass actually burns calories. Fat does not. So the more lean muscle you have, the more you're going to have to eat just to support that muscle. So it's kind of the more muscle mass you have, it's the more you're going to be able to eat, and that speeds up your metabolism. So it's like this positive vortex. So good stuff, Marty.
I think Lauren pops it up here as well, guys, which is food should be one's best friend on your fitness journey.
Yes.
Often not talked about, right? Which is, I want to be lean. I'm not going to eat food. No, eat the food, but eat the right food, right? This is not the right food, gentlemen. Yes, it's still here.
No.
Yes, Marty.
No.
I know.
Get that thing out of here. Damn it.
Get it out of here.
Get that thing the hell out of here,
The ultimate prop. I'm going to use it for my yoga. It's going to be my block here, gentlemen. So that's what I'm going to end up being here.
Oh, man.
Yeah, let me be on the record for everybody listening. When I first time I physically go in that studio, I'm going to go straight for that package. I'm not even going to make sure that it's sealed up, because he might open it up, pull out the goods, and then put something else back in there. I'm not just gonna pick it up. I'm gonna actually feel it to make sure that it hasn't been disrupted.
John, I think he just switches it out. He eats it every night for dessert, and then he just puts a new one there. Like, let me show the guys on the show, so they think I didn't eat it.
But I need you to take a permanent marker and put some sort of a symbol on that right now. That thing is gonna be marked.
All right. I guess I have instructions, Nation, to get that all cleaned up for y'all.
Yes.
Hey, Michael Hoodlow jumps in. What's shaking, Michael? John Anderson. Michael Hoodlow was a guest on Live in the Lab a few months back. He's the ultimate CRM expert. So if you're looking for a CRM expert anywhere in the world,
Hoodlow?
Hoodlow is the guy. He's the youngest CRM expert on the planet, Anderson. Like, the guy has been around forever, and he's like a freaking brilliant dude. But he comes in and says, and here's actually a great point, right? So Lauren talks about, food should be one's best friend in your journey, and we're talking about, in many ways we're talking about, glory, but Hoodlow puts it on the table. People are stressed, Anderson, Marty, work, finance, life. Bad eating habits, sometimes due to stressful situations. Not an excuse.
Here's the thing. What you got to understand is that when you're going through difficult times, when you're stressed, when you're tired, eating good foods is what helps you get through that efficiently. So it's kind of like I explain to people, we live in this culture, this world, this society where people, oh my God, I lost 10 pounds, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to treat myself. Don't treat yourself with a negative. Treat yourself with another win. You treat when you're gonna do something to help yourself or to treat yourself. Don't you want to feel good? Well, okay, so you made some progress. Now you're gonna go eat something that's gonna take you back. You're gonna feel poorly. People say, "Oh, I don't care." Bullshit. Let's be honest. You're trying to make progress. When you win, celebrate it with another win, and that momentum just keeps going and going. But back to your question is, as long as you're focused on using food as like fuel or medicine, if you will. And you got, I mean, it's hard. It's a big stretch for people to take food from pleasure to purpose, but realistically, that's the stretch. If you can go more towards purpose, you're going to have more focus. You're going to have more energy. You're going to have, you know, a better you to get through the stuff that's causing you the stress that makes you want to go to McDonald's.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well said. Well said.
I like that, pleasure to purpose. I've never heard food looked at it that way, but that's right, isn't it? Take food from pleasure to purpose.
Let me tell you a quick story about purpose. So when I was wrestling in Japan, and I used to keep hard-boiled eggs. That was like my food, because we're, you know, when we're doing it, there's just not food available. So I would tell the kitchen of the Tokyo Dome, I want tons of hard-boiled eggs, and I'd have them in my bags everywhere. And after the shows, or if we're going to the next town or wherever we're going, I would peel them. And I'd be really careful, but a few of the shells would get on the ground, and Japanese are clean. They didn't like that, man. They basically said, look, you got to stop. You're making a mess here. So I'd said, okay, well, it's a competitive market. So I was like, you know, I want to keep my contract. So talk about purpose. I would take the whole egg, put it in my mouth, chew it up, and eat the whole thing, shell included.
Dude.
Yeah. And it was great, because when the people could hear me start to eat my eggs, they could hear the crunch. And it was like, but talk about, I'm not eating this because it tastes good. What the hell's the difference? I eat the shell. Okay. Not a problem.
Food should be one
respect
on your favorite, and you just got to pop the whole egg in your mouth. You know, I hate the crunch of eggshells. So to hear you tell me you're eating a whole egg, dude, like a whole other new level of respect, Marty. Joe,
well, now think about eating 6 of those in a row.
Yeah, Marty, I don't know what to say to this, man. I got nothing to say. Yeah. So John, look at the screen. Here's Lauren's comment. Exactly. The green vomit emoji is what I'm thinking of as well.
Well, when it comes down to pleasure or purpose, this takes you to the edge of purpose. Now this is the far side. Pleasure is a different story. You're not getting anywhere if you're eating for pleasure.
Is that what it is? What's up, Flynn O'Brien? Thanks for joining the show here. You are joining the Ultimate Morning Show. We start our show every single day, 8 o'clock Eastern time, the only show on YouTube, X, LinkedIn, all over the planet, social platforms. We help you get your ass out of bed. We help you get going. We help you achieve your biggest, most audacious goals. Join us here. Check in for accountability. Check in. Come drop in. Leave us a comment, and we're always here to talk about some great stuff. Today, we started our show, Flynn, talking about, you know, the value of being an entrepreneur, and is it really all it's cut out to be? And now we're talking, Flynn, about, you know, those that are over 35, tips to stay lean, tips to lose fat after the ages of 35. And gents, we're talking food, but let's move into the conversation around strength training. And Marty, John, I know I've repeated myself this many times, but I'm going to keep repeating it. The women that come to you guys, I don't want to be big. I don't want to be bulky. I don't want to have muscles. I just want to have nice arms. I don't want to strength train. I just want to do cardio. Let's talk about the benefits of Marty, the benefits of strength training for preserving, increasing muscle mass. Why do we need to strength train? Why do we need to have our protein? Gentlemen, who's up first?
I'll go, because he doesn't leave much behind for me.
John,
I'll keep it narrow this time. Keep it narrow.
I've been trying to let you go first all day, if you didn't notice.
Well, I was sitting there. I was like, I'm not going to wait. I'm just going to go. So.
Hey, Anderson, Marty's just leaving you the eggshells.
I
eat them for him.
Oh, I love that.
So first off, it's not that easy to get big. Everybody thinks, oh, I lift weights and I get too big. Well, generally speaking, when someone says that, it's because they start exercising, start lifting weights, they get hungry, so they start eating more, and they end up not fitting in their clothes. Forgive me for saying this, people, but you didn't get big, you got fat. And before you got too fat, you decided to blame it on I just can't lift weights because they get too big too fast. No, you did all that in the kitchen, let's be honest, or where Denny's or Burger King or wherever the hell you were eating. It's crazy. I mean, it's just not that easy to build muscle where you get too big too quick. So if you're one of those people, the people that know what they're talking about are giggling inside when you say that dumb shit. So stop it. So realistically, why is it so important is because we talked about building muscle is going to help you stay in shape. But as you get older, you're not building muscle anymore naturally. It's like your body's not building muscle just because you're getting older and you're active. After 35, you have to literally work at keeping. You can build muscle, but if you don't actively work at building, and you can build a little bit, but you want to not be losing, because next thing you know, you basically had muscle atrophy for 35 years. You're a 70-year-old that can't go up steps, and then falls right into the place. You take a step, you miss a step, you fall down, you break your hip. There's not enough muscle to keep you intact. You break your hip, and life has changed for good. All because you decided to tell yourself that you just get too big when you lift weights.
Yeah. Marty?
Absolutely. And I was going to add to what John said. You're basically putting muscle on top of fat. That's why they think the weights make you bulky, right? You're not burning any fat. You're just still eating trash and getting stronger and building muscle. And then another thing about the women, a lot of women don't realize they don't produce enough testosterone to just get big and be built like, maybe the girls you see in bodybuilder competitions. You don't even produce that much testosterone. And a lot of times those women have put in so much work, and they put in years of work. Ma'am, you're just starting. You've been here for 2 months. Yeah. You're not going to look like her. So those are a few things that women aren't educated on, and it actually helps them out a lot when I educate them on that.
And this is not just this is a man-woman thing. I mean, you agree, Marty? How many times have a man said to you, "I just can't lift weights. I get too big"? It's anybody who doesn't want to go to the gym. Right. This is one of their sayings that they're going to keep tucked in their hip pocket.
Well, and I laugh at John and Marty this. Oh yeah, I'm bulking up. Oh no, you mean you're getting fat? Oh yeah, you're gonna go and put on a bunch of fat so you can go lose it again and get lean. That whole thing is that whole bro science mentality. John Anderson, I'm going to bulk up. They just eat, then they wonder why they're fat. No, go eat good. To use Marty's term, good clean food. Chicken breasts and good pasta and just good healthy nutrient dense one ingredient food. John Anderson,
one ingredient. That's right, baby.
And you're not getting fat. You're gonna get strong.
No, yeah, it's a different drill. And the thing about it is, when it comes down to it, is if you break it down, food is at the root of all this, just like we said.
Yes.
So if you go and you start looking at food a little closer, you start to realize that there's so much progress to be made. Yes. I mean, most people, if they're eating right, they don't even have to go to the gym to build a little muscle. They can just do calisthenics and they'll build muscle. But the eating proper food gives the body the ability to build that muscle. You could eat like shit and you could go to the gym and you're not really, granted, you might build a little bit of muscle, but you're building fat. That's what you're building.
Yeah. Marty, tip number 2 for our 3 tips to give nation today: dietary adjustments. Talk about the need for dietary adjustments due to altered nutritional needs. So now you're in the gym, now you're training, or now you're 36, you're 37, your body's changing. John and I were laughing last week just on a chat here that, we're both in our 50s, how life has changed from 40 to 50. So talk, Marty, as you've aged into your 30s now, and I know you're not 35 yet, but talk about the need for dietary changes due to your body changing, nutritional needs changing, and balancing macronutrients. Marty, dig into that for a moment with me.
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of times, if you are in the gym to build muscle, if you're training to build muscle, a lot of people don't realize small things. A lot of people undereat their protein intake or the amount they need every day. Like I'll get a new client and we'll go over. I'll be like, "What'd you eat yesterday?" And she ate like 30 grams of protein for the whole day. A lot of people don't realize, how detrimental that is when you're trying to build muscle. Mm-hmm. Another thing is water intake. A lot of people don't realize muscle is made of like 70% water.
Yeah.
So you gotta drink water. If you can't drink more tequila than you drink water, you're not gonna build muscle. And then you fire the personal trainer and say that trainers are scammers and they suck. I don't think that's what happened. So I think protein and water are probably the most the most overlooked things when it comes to building muscle. And then I guess number 3 will probably be carbs. People they'll take away all carbs. No, we need some carbs to build muscle too. We need carbs for fuel, and we need carbs to go through the workout. If you're going to be strength training, where do you think the energy is going to come from? Plants. It can come from plants, but you're going to need some carbs too, though. Yeah. So there are carbs in plants, but you do need some actual, I guess, carb, like, potatoes. You'll need rice. You'll need things of that, like that, to, get your fuel.
John, play off Marty's comment there. Choosing complex carbohydrates for sustained energy. As you get older, you get into the gym. Talk about not starving yourself, John Anderson.
Yeah, everybody's got a formula. So you got to realize that certain people are going to require a different breakdown of macronutrients. But I think here's the thing that the biggest mistake that I see people making. So, and I just try to keep it simple, because the more simple it is, the easier it is to grab a hold of.
Yes.
And so people tend to say, oh, I'm going to bulk up, and they make this massive change with what they're eating. And they say, oh, I'm going to get lean. And they make this massive change of what they're eating. Yes. You can manipulate that, getting bigger, building muscle, and dropping a little more body fat with very, very little change to your diet. We're just talking of, if you want to put it into a calorie sense, I don't like talking calories because calorie doesn't really talk about nutrient value. But if it can be like 500 can make a massive difference if you push or pull that. If your diet is dialed in and you've got your timing is right, you've got the proper, proteins you need. I'm a big one on essential fats because the body needs that for health and rebuilding. Finding the right amount of carbohydrate for different people is a big one too, because everybody's going to need a different amount. But then once you got that dialed in, if you want to change direction, it could be little change. And that way, what you're doing is you're changing your direction, but you're not completely losing your place on where you need to be, which is kind of toggle in that middle.
I like that you've brought up little, John, because that I think is the biggest challenge for humans when they're on the journey. And we talked about it in the entrepreneur conversation. You have to enjoy the process because there's no immediate answer. On Monday, you might sit down with Marty and John, and they're going to say, okay, let's maneuver your macronutrients up and down a little bit here. And let's move it here a little bit more protein, a little bit of carbohydrates here and there. But you have to enjoy that process along the way, because if you don't, you're going to fail. Like you really are. And you have to enjoy the process about that around the entire journey. Anderson.
Well, one of the things that makes it, you're totally correct. I so agree with that. And one of the things that makes the whole food thing difficult for people is they're too invested in food as a pleasure.
Yes.
It's like, okay, I'm going to try to get lean. So they start basically starving themselves, doing a whole bunch of exercise, and their blood sugar is low and unstable, and all they can do is think about the shit they want to eat when they turn direction, and then they go their direction, and they're eating everything under the sun. When you start to eat for more of a purpose, meaning, okay, I know when I eat this, it's going to help me do this. It's not this freaky deaky, oh my God, I got to eat that. You're eating it because you want to have a better life. You want to have more energy. You want to have more focus. You want to have a better quality of life so you can enjoy time with your loved ones later in the day. And you realize when you're eating for pleasure, you're removing a lot of this stuff. The quality of life kind of gets removed with eating for pleasure. You eat for purpose. Now it's easier to make that small adjustment because you're not freaking out over the food that you can't wait to eat. That's why I'm not a big connoisseur of people having a set cheat day, because they live for that cheat day. Yes. It's like, people that have a job they don't want, they're living for the day they don't have to go back to that job. Right. And it's just a wrong mentality.
Gentlemen, I'll confess to you, and I like to, John, you and I talked yesterday about doing the show and building trust and being vulnerable. And you're like, yeah, Keith, I want to get on here and pull my pants down and keep being vulnerable. Well, I like to share things that I go through to keep myself relatable to the audience. And I can tell you guys, I have been that gentleman, John, Marty, over the years going, cut, deficit, chasing the cheat meal.
Yep.
I will tell you, since I met Lauren, Marty, and you've met Lauren, since I met Lauren, and since she's taught me how to eat again, I've never ate more, been less restrictive, and it felt better about myself and been leaner my whole life because of just the shift in mentality, gentlemen, of enjoying food and not restricting it. Right. And that's been a mind shift for me, guys, because I have been that yo-yo guy my whole life, Anderson. I've been that whole guy chasing, better bulk up, got to lose weight. It's really what kind of moved me, Marty, into the business athlete kind of mindset and attitude. And I will confess to nation, I still struggle with it these days as it is. Right. But I can tell you, and I say it to be relatable because there's guys listening right now going, Bilous, you're perfect. No, I'm not perfect. Oh no, but listen, I keep this on my desk so that these guys can keep me accountable to it. And it's true, right? Because John, there's a lot of guys like me out there.
Well, brother, let me tell you right now, part of, for me, keeping food, locked into the purpose, category is not having the dumb shit sitting on the counter like you got with that Reese's cup. You put that if that's within reaching distance, now all of a sudden the pleasure part of food starts to get in the back of my head.
Right.
So, setting your environment to succeed is a big part of this. If you've got pleasure food all over the place, it's going to be very difficult to keep yourself in the right frame of mind when it comes to food. Now, I understand you got kids and this, that, and the other. So maybe what you need to do is teach your kids to enjoy something that's a little bit better for them, because as parents, it's unbelievable that the way that parents feed their kids is unbelievable in general. They're not thinking about
it's bad.
So they're not thinking about the longevity or the health of the kid. That's why the diabetes epidemic is just going bananas, because the parents are very happy to give their kids something to eat to get them out of their hair rather than teach them actually how to eat properly. And when you're eating all that high sugary, high salted food, a single ingredient food tastes like sawdust in your mouth.
Yeah. Yeah. So John, you'll love this. And Marty, I think I've told you this before, and Lauren's listening. She's going to laugh. So John, my mom, we're the same age. So my mom, when I was 6 months old, instead of putting the old soother in my mouth, Mom, I love you, she stuffed the old Kit Kat in my mouth, John. So from 6 months,
me?
No. So from
No wonder you got that big peanut butter cup close.
I know. So, but it's a true story though, right? Because you talk about the condition of our parents and lifestyle. So from 6 months old, Mom's like, "Oh yeah, let's put the Kit Kat in Keith's mouth." So yeah. So from 6 months old, I've been kind of grown up with this idea of battling sugar and battling chocolate, because it's what I've been conditioned to. And then John Anderson, you bringing you up to speed on previous conversations, I've been telling Marty, I have my little daughter Brookie. And John, if you gave her a choice to go and hunt chocolate Easter eggs on Easter or go hunt avocados on Easter, she's hunting avocados. She's like, I'll take the broccoli over the chocolate because Mom has fed her the broccoli on day one.
Brother, I'm still kind of stuck a minute or two back. So let me just make sure I'm understanding this correctly. So most babies at 6 months, I believe you said, correct?
Yes.
They're reaching for a boob. You were reaching for a Kit Kat.
Mom's giving me the Kit Kat.
You were reaching for a Kit Kat. And that man alive, that's a doozy right there.
We're gonna bring Mom on the show one time, Marty. We're gonna have a chat with
we gotta talk to her about that.
We're gonna call Mom on the show, John, and you can ask her these questions and talk to her what her mindset was. We'll give an old Uncle Keith here the Kit Kat at 6 months, and not the boob. Mom, you got to be giving Keith the boob, not the Kit Kat. We're talking losing weight after 35, and we're going to continue wrapping up our conversation here because Keith and John got to go for a pee coming up here in a few moments. I'm sure it's just around the corner here. So number 3, gentlemen, consistent sleep and stress management. I want to talk more about sleep in upcoming shows, about the power and value of sleep and managing stress. Yeah. So Anderson, start off the conversation about why sleep to help stress management before I throw it to you, Marty.
Well, I mean, when it comes down to it, I don't think that everybody knows you have a good night's sleep. You wake up and you feel better. You're sharper. Your perspective is better. So yes. I don't think we need to even go into that. How do we get that every day is the question. So here's the thing. There's a lot of things that you can do, but let's keep it simple.
Yes.
Really simple. The number one way to make sure that you get good sleep is to have a set bedtime. Your body will start to figure out that you go to bed at a certain time and you'll lay down and you'll just go to sleep. But if your bedtime's all over the place, your body doesn't know what to expect. It's like your dog knows when you're going to feed him. It's like this rhythm, nature has these rhythms. And what happens is your circadian rhythm is what it's called. And the more you're regular with your bedtime, then the better your circadian rhythm is going to be. If you really want to take a stretch, we all have alarms to wake up. You set an alarm to go to bed. You put those two in play. This thing will sync up real quick. And if you get your circadian rhythm right and you start getting better sleep, everything gets better. You metabolize more body fat. You have more focus. You have more energy. You're better. You're just a better version of you. All because you stopped staying up too late and you honored going to bed when you know you should.
Yeah, so true. So true. Marty, want to add to those comments on sleep?
Yeah, throughout your sleep, your muscle repairs and your fat burns. So if you're not sleeping, you're not going to get the results. And then just from a mental standpoint, you're going to be more likely to be in the mindset of waking up and getting to your workout, or waking up and getting your clean food ready for the day. Yeah. If you went to bed at night, if you wake up late, you're scrambling, you're groggy, you're tired, you're irritable when you wake up, you're probably going to make bad decisions throughout the day.
Yeah, absolutely. And weaving tech into the conversation, nation. If you're wearing an Apple Watch, a Samsung Watch, a Ring or something, you have your HRV. Go check out your HRV, your heart rate variability. Get up in the morning and look at your HRV from the night before. You drive that number up, it's going to help you feel better. It's going to help you produce better. You're going to have a better day, a healthier day, and you are going to perform better. So that heart rate variability is linked to your sleep. It's linked to your stress. Go drive that number up. I'm telling you, if there's one metric you want to watch on your watch, go check your HRV. Trust me. And you want to drive that number up. And the better you drive that number up, the better you're going to feel. And how do you drive the number up? Get some sleep. Manage your stress. Get to the gym. Get some lifts in. So as you age, and trust me, nation, I'm ancient, and Anderson's even more ancient than I am. And if you're listening right now, we're just telling you what's coming. We're telling you what's coming.
I'm so aged, I'm starting to dribble here, baby. We got to wrap this baby up, or you got to cut me loose. I got to go to the toilet.
I'm doing the dance in the chair, so I'm hearing you. So we're going to wrap up.
I'm wiggling, baby.
We're wrapping it up here, and Marty's. Or else we're handing the keys to Marty here to take the show over. But nation, I want to thank y'all for joining us today. Mornings in the Lab with Keith, C. Marty Fit, John Anderson, joining you every single day, Monday to Friday, 8 o'clock Eastern time. We talk about business, lifestyle, AI, where our goal is to help you be accountable, hit those big ass goals, get yourself out of bed every single day, live a better self, live a better life, and move forward every single day. So come check out the show, like it, subscribe to the channel, Mornings in the Lab, leave a comment, share it with your friends, talk with your hands. There you go. Marty, close up the show, my friend, before we throw to Anderson, before I say goodbye, so we can go for a pee. Marty.
This was probably the best show of the week. We dropped a lot of game on here.
Today was
a great job, guys.
Today was an awesome show. Anderson, great content, man. What do you got to say before we go, pal?
I got to pee.
Yeah, you and me both.
No, I say that we just, when you got a guy.
Stay strong, John.
Dropping bombs about
Stay strong, man.
And the best part about it is, this whole thing of eating plays right into that, because an entrepreneur understands he's got to eat in a way that's going to make him the best version of him, so he can continue to deal with that stress of instability of entrepreneurship. So these two topics just fit right together. They're right. Yeah, here.
Great show, guys. If you want to be in entrepreneurship today, ask yourself, is it really worth it? Or are you happy inside your organization? Go make some money. All right, guys, I got to go to the bathroom. Marty, have a great one, pal. We'll talk to you later. Anderson, we'll talk to you throughout the day as well. Nation, we'll see you guys tomorrow. Ciao.